Well, if you're a gun voter in Sheridan or Johnson County, you have a choice to make in the upcoming August 20 Republican Party primary. Marilyn Connolly versus Mark Jones versus Liberty Poley. Who's going to fight for your gun rights in the Wyoming House? Stay tuned, guys. We're breaking this race down for you right now. Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here with Wyoming Gun Owners. The August primary is coming up fast, and in Sheridan and Johnson Counties, House District 40, we're getting a lot of questions from gun owners about this primary between Liberty Poley, Mark Jones, and Marilyn Connolly. It's an open seat primary, there is no incumbent, and so of course everyone campaigns on the Second Amendment. The question you're asking us right now is not who says they're pro-gun, because we've all figured this out, right? Everyone's pro-gun in Wyoming in a primary. Everyone's a champion. Everyone's a fighter. So often the opposite is true. So often in Cheyenne, people who campaign on gun rights are weak, or worse, sell us out to join and protect the rhino class in Cheyenne. So the question you've asked us in this race is not who claims to be pro-gun, but more, how do we know who we can trust? Who can we count on to fight for our gun rights? So in this race, we're going to give you guys information on the candidates. We're not going to tell you who to vote for, but we are going to combine voting histories, candidate surveys, and other statements made by the candidates to give you guys a snapshot on how they might vote on your gun rights in the Wyoming House. And we're going to begin with Marilyn Connolly. Now, the bad news here with Marilyn is that she will not, and I mean will not, complete her candidate survey. We have mailed it to her. We have emailed it to her. I believe it was texted to her as well. Everything short of a carrier pigeon to get Marilyn Connolly on the record, and she will not complete the candidate survey. In our experience with WYGO, when a candidate will not survey, that almost always means they intend to screw over gun owners. It's just the way it is. They intend to join the rhino swamp in Cheyenne, and they don't want their betrayals documented in writing. That is always our concern when it comes to a candidate like this, who in a primary, when they need gun voters, refuse to tell us. It's a big red flag. Speaking of red flags, that means then that because she hasn't surveyed, we can't tell you how Marilyn would vote on efforts to, for example, repeal or undermine the law we passed this year, which banned red flag gun seizures. The rhinos want to roll it back. We asked Marilyn, would you help us defend it? She won't answer that question. You guys probably all remember this year we passed House Bill 125, gun-free zone repeal. Of course, there are no gun-free zones. They only help criminals. But HB 125 was the bill to address that threat. We got it passed to the governor's desk. Of course, Governor Gordon, rhino that he is, he vetoed the bill as a favor to all of his anti-gun lobbyists here in Cheyenne, and that bill died. So, of course, that's top on our to-do list for next session. And we asked Marilyn, would you vote yes or no on legislation to repeal deadly gun-free zones? She will not tell us. But there is other things you can look at to gauge a candidate's support or lack thereof for our gun rights. And one of those is endorsements. So when we saw that Marilyn Connolly will not survey and that she was also endorsed by Governor Gordon's PAC, by Governor Gordon himself, that told us an awful lot about Marilyn Connolly, the same governor who vetoed a badly needed pro-gun bill here in Wyoming is now endorsing Marilyn Connolly's bid for the Wyoming House. That should tell gun voters everything they have to know about Marilyn's loyalties when it comes to the Second Amendment. That's the recap on Marilyn Connolly. And that brings up Mark Jones. Now, Mark Jones parachutes into Wyoming just a couple of years ago and has become an activist in the Capitol. This cycle, however, Mark Jones has refused, just like Marilyn Connolly, to complete the WYGO candidate questionnaire. And again, when somebody will not survey, put their views in writing, it's almost always a sign that person intends to screw over gun owners if elected. And that goes extra true when someone's new to the area. If we don't know your background, don't know your story, who you are, where you're from, you come in from out of nowhere, you won't survey, it's a very big concern for us. But there's more when it comes to Mark Jones. So I said Mark is a bit of an activist in the Capitol. And you guys remember, going back a couple years, this would have been 2022. Wygo was working to pass the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Joe Biden was fresh, if Joe Biden's ever been fresh, in the White House. His attacks were coming every single day. And what he was doing was bypassing Congress and passing executive orders with his signature, mandating gun control, pistol braces, bump stocks, and a lot more. And the idea for Joe Biden was, I'm going to bypass Congress and I'm going to bring red states like Wyoming to heel because I'm going to force local cops to enforce these federal gun control mandates or laws, or in this case, executive orders. The solution to that is to pass the Second Amendment Preservation Act as other states have done. And what SEPA does in a nutshell, it tells the feds, get bent. We're not going to help you enforce federal gun control laws in our state. If you want to do it, bring in feds to do it because we will not let you use our troopers, our deputies, and our city cops to do it in Wyoming. In other states that have passed this, there's also teeth, penalties. So if a department were to violate this, let's say Cheyenne PD says, screw it, we're going to do it anyway, we don't care, and they go to enforce it, the gun owner whose rights are harmed can take the agency, not the officers, but the agency into civil court for damages. It is the best way to keep a red state free under a tyrannical president like Joe Biden or like Kamala Harris. Perish the thought. So we're working on this, making lots of progress. And this idiot walks in the Capitol and he goes to the Rhino leadership in the House and Senate and he says, you know what? I know how to get the gun owners, the gun voters off of your back. Let's take the idea of SEPA, let's water it down, take out the teeth, lose the penalties, and give exemptions for federal task forces. And that way we can call it SEPA when it doesn't do jack crap. But you guys can all campaign on SEPA at election time in 2022. And folks, that is exactly what happened. SEPA died that year because Mark Jones, as an activist, ran a parallel version of SEPA. Now, to be clear, this guy's intelligence and IQ is about this much. So it wasn't like the guy had prowess as a lobbyist. Rather, the rhinos all saw this bill as a way to kill SEPA and promote their careers at the exact same time. So their fear of Wygo members is what drove them to do this. But it was made possible because of the idea of this guy, Mark Jones. That means that while other states have protections right now from an out-of-control White House, we don't. We have no protections right now. So if, again, God forbid, Kamala Harris wins in November and she's ordering cops in Wyoming to carry out federal gun control laws, she's already said in her first 100 days, she'll use executive power to mandate gun control. So she does that, and she says Cheyenne PD is going to enforce it. We have no protection here because Mark Jones betrayed gun owners in 2022. And I want to be clear, when he did that, he didn't just sandbag the policy, he harmed conservative lawmakers all across the state. Because now we're having to decide, am I going to vote for this garbage bill or not? And principled men should not, and women should not vote for garbage legislation. So a bunch of very good pro-gun stalwart people voted no on the bad bill. And for that, they were attacked by rhinos in the primaries in 2022. You see how that works? Like they at the same time they killed a good bill, they push a bad bill, and all the rhinos jump on board. So it aids the rhinos and it hurts the conservatives. That kind of shameful conduct a generation ago would have sparked real frustration. For now, all we can do is simply tell you what he did and let you guys decide what to make of all of that. But the recap on this guy is that he refused a survey, he killed SEPA, aided rhinos, hurt the conservatives, and I forgot one last little detail. Mark Jones is the biggest ass kisser that you'll ever see in the Capitol in Cheyenne. Now, as an activist, no one really cares. But as a lawmaker, it matters to gun owners if a person has spine, has guts, or not. And if you got them, that's great. But if you're a butt kisser, what that means is you'll always defer to leadership. And that means that our gun rights always take a back seat. Let me give you an example. So last session, House Bill 125, it's WIGO legislation that we wrote multiple years in a row to get rid of deadly gun-free zones, okay? So the bill is in the Judiciary Committee. I'm testifying there on behalf of WIGO. Jonesy here is there testifying as well. And what happens? The rhinos kill the bill in committee. It died either 4-1 or 3-2, I forget, but either way, it died that night in the Judiciary Committee. And old Jones here afterwards is begging like a dog to all these rhinos, please, sir, please, can you come back and fix the bill? And it was embarrassing. It was not manly. It was unbecoming. And so instead, WIGO, we left the building. We had dinner a block away from the Capitol, and senators like Dave Kinski, Anthony Bouchard, Bo Beitman, Tim Salazar, Tim French, Bob Ide, all of the men in the room said, this is BS. This will not be allowed to stand. We're going to come back in there tomorrow. We're going to use procedural tools to drag HB 125 out of committee on the floor for a vote. We're going to get this done. And that's exactly the plan that we hatched. That's exactly what we did. So the next morning, we're doing this on the floor. Jones here is probably back in his flop house crying, a tear in his beer, Bud Light, no doubt. And he shows up at the Capitol running in the building because he had no clue what was going on. He had no clue because he was defeated, because he only has one play in Cheyenne, to kiss backsides. And WIGO and all the senators I mentioned, we kick them all the time, and because of that, we passed HB 125 out of the Senate. But that's an example of the weakness of Mark Jones. It's concerning, or it should be concerning, to gun voters everywhere across the district. That's the recap on Mark Jones. Shameful, sad, embarrassing stuff. That brings up Liberty Poley. Now, if you don't know Liberty Poley, she is a well-known activist in the area, been heavily involved in stuff for a long time. She was all over Fox News, actually, at the convention in Milwaukee several weeks ago. Liberty has surveyed 100% pro-gun with Wyoming gun owners. Every question we asked her, she's 100%. She will sponsor pro-gun bills. She will co-sponsor pro-gun bills. She will vote for pro-gun bills. And she will always oppose the gun control agenda in Cheyenne. And make no mistake, there is a gun control agenda in Cheyenne. You can see Liberty's survey for yourself right now on our website, wyominggunowners.org. You can see it for yourself, print it off, and keep a copy. It's also interesting to note that she's endorsed, so again, Marilyn Connolly, endorsed by Mark Gordon, right? Liberty Poley is endorsed by Senator Lummis. The interesting take here is that Cynthia Lummis currently is the youngest woman to ever serve in the Wyoming legislature. And Liberty Poley, if she wins her primary, I guess would beat the record from Cynthia Lummis. None of that matters. What does matter is that Cynthia recognized that Liberty has been a conservative activist, passionate about the Second Amendment and other conservative causes for a very long time. We're mentioning endorsements like Mark Gordon. You should also be aware of the endorsement we thought from Cynthia Lummis. The bottom line, if you know her at all from social media or in person, Liberty is a fighter who was passionate about the Second Amendment. Guys, that is our recap in this race. There's a lot going on here. Do me a favor, share it on social media. Make sure all your friends have the truth about Liberty Poley, Mark Jones, and Marilyn Connolly. You can find this video on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, our website. Wherever you find it, share it on social media. Make sure everyone has the facts. And guys, then get involved in the fight today at joinwygo.com.